So Saturday, I had a virtual event along with 5 of my Merry Stampers team members. It ran from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So I was pretty much here in my craft studio all day and coordinating everything, and did a few Facebook Lives and things myself, and watched the other gals, and it was a great event. We had over 150 people in the group and have gotten very good feedback from doing that. So it was a great day for us, the 6 of us demonstrators, to create and share. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's a very long day for me, but was a lot of fun, and I'm really proud of my team members that helped out with that. Yesterday I worked a bit. Emily was here, and I made chili, and we went over to Andrea and John's, and we watched the first half of the Super Bowl as well as the halftime show, and then we came home, and she had to leave to go back to school early this morning. I think she left about 6 or 6:30, and it's just back to work. So it was a busy but full weekend and a fun weekend. So today I want to show you another pop-up card, and I can't show you the pop-up cards I made on Friday because I already sent them off to my girls for Valentine's Day. But that video will be posting on my blog, stampinpeace.com, later today. And I'm going to show you how to make another pop-up card. But this time I'm going to be using the Darling Donkeys to make this pop-up card. And Darling Donkeys is a stamp set that you can earn free with a $50 purchase through the end of this month. Remember, Sale-A-Bration is shorter this year. Instead of 3 months, we have 2 months. There will be a celebration later this year, the second half of the year. I'm thinking July, August, maybe. I can't remember exactly, but that will be different. So you just have through February 28th to take advantage of our incentives to when you shop, host, and join through the end of this month. So this is one of those freebies, and I just love it. When I first saw it, I wasn't so sure. They were cute, but would I really use it? And I'm telling you, the times I've used it, I've really had fun with this. So I'm going to give you a couple of tips and pointers, and then I'm going to begin making the card. And one feature of the cards will be showing you how to make a quick and easy picket fence. And this idea was inspired by a card my teammate Avis Anderson made for one of our creative challenges, one of our team creative challenges. And I saw it, and it was one of those things I thought, duh, why didn't I think of that? So I wanted to share it with you, and it uses the Banner's Pick-a-Punch to make the picket fence. But so let me give you an idea, first of all, about how I'm using the Darling Donkeys. I wasn't sure which ones exactly I would be using on my card, so I stamped and colored each of them with our Stampin' Blends markers. I used ivory, I've used light and dark smoky slate, and I've used the dark crumb cake just to put a little of brown on the hooves of the donkeys. And then some areas that I wanted to make a little lighter, like for example in the face, I just used the color lifter to lighten that gray up just a little bit. You can see it here too in the center of the body. But then I decided I wanted some of these cut out for this really cute card I'm making. Well, you know, there are no dies to go with this set. So I wanted to show you a quick and easy way, or a no fussing cutting way of cutting out these cute little animals. And I learned this trick from Rita Holmes, who's also on my team. Some of you may know her. When there are no dies to cut out the shapes you want, and this works basically for any stamp. I'm using red rubber and it works easily this way, but you can do the same thing with your photopolymer stamps. You just lay the stamp on top and trace. But what I do is I keep the negative space of the rubber sheet when I get new stamps. And I was already doing this for one particular reason. If I put this back into the stamp case and then put all of my other stamps in there, when I have this closed, when I'm cleaning up, it's really easy to see if I'm missing a stamp, because I would have an empty space. So I would know, okay, stop what you're doing, Mary, check in the trash, check to see if you left a stamp someplace. But later then, Rita taught this awesome tip, and I like to call it the no fuss fussing cutting, no fuss fussy cutting technique. Okay, because picture this, cutting around all these little legs. How about that tail and the ears and the hair? It can make you a little crazy, and I typically don't mind fussy cutting, but sometimes it just gets to be a little bit much. So what I do is just hold this, and I take a pencil and just very lightly trace around the shape. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's very light. In fact, can you even see my pencil marks there? It's not perfect, but I get the general shape. Actually, let me tuck this right back in here so I don't lose that, and I'll fix it up later. And then I can just go in here and cut that shape. And I like to cut on the inside of my pencil line. And yes, you are going to have a little more white space showing than you would if you were just starting to fussy cut on your own. But this just gives you a nice, smooth, easy to cut shape. And you can see how quick it is. I'm not trying to stay right on the line. I'm actually cutting inside the line. I'm just using my pencil mark as the guide. Just like that. And how quick was that? All right, now if you decide, okay, there's more white space here than what you really want, you just go back in with your snips and trim out a little bit more. But again, you're using the pencil mark you already had as your guide. You've already got a basic shape. You might want to get a little closer to the hooves there. You might want to take out some of this big white space. But again, it's not true fussy cutting, and you don't have to worry about having that perfect little narrow margin all the way around your stamped image. See how that is? You might want to take out a little more white space up here. No big deal. Just go ahead and snip in there just like that. And if you don't want to take out extra space, no big deal. I didn't really take out any extra white space on these two. Look how cute they are. And you don't have to get all crazy with that fussy cutting. So that's a fun and easy tip I learned from my friend and teammate, Rita Holmes. So now that you have that tip for how I colored the donkeys with the Stampin' blends and then cut them out, even though there's no die cuts. Another quick tip before I move on, when you are coloring with Stampin' blends, they do bleed. They don't really make a terrible amount, but you see on the back, you see the ink. And so to avoid that from going through your envelope, if you're stamping and coloring with blends on your envelope, just tuck a piece of scrap paper or scrap cardstock in there before you start coloring with your Stampin' blends. And then your envelope still looks nice and clean on the back. Okay, we're going to build the card front first, and then I will show you how to put it together onto the card to make up the pop-up. As I said on Friday when I did the Be My Valentine pop-up cards, you actually use 2 card bases, the standard size and then one for the inside of the card, which is a little bit smaller. So we're going to build the front with our dockies and the picket fence, and then I'll show you how to put it all together for the pop-up. Now I'm using a piece of designer series paper from the Sand and Sea suite, that Sand and Sea designer series paper pack. Here's what the whole paper looks like, and I just wanted to cut out some at the top, but that looks great for like sunrise and sunset, or maybe the sand and the sea, you know, you get it. But that's where I got this paper from. And I have cut it to the same size as my card front will be. So it is 5.5 by 4 1/4. 5.5 by 4 1/4. Now I want to make some grass. So I have a piece of, and I have to think, is this 1.5? Yes, it's 1.5 inches by 5.5 inches. And I'm just going to tear it right down the center. I'm tearing towards me. When you tear towards you and you go along just a bunch of little tears, you seem to have more control. So that's why I like to tear it towards me. And I'm going to have some grass in the front of my picket fence as well as behind. So the one piece, I'm going to use my multi-purpose glue, and I like to have the torn edge facing up. I think that shows more dimension. I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on each end, and then just along the bottom. And I'm going to raise it up about 1/4 inch from the bottom of my DSP. And this will eventually go on here, but I'm not going to do that yet until I get my picket fence. Well, I guess I could. Let me think about this a second. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Okay. Now to make the picket fence, and when I saw Avis do this, I just thought, again, I thought this is genius. It's genius. It's one of those things you hit your forehead and think, duh, why didn't I think of that? So she used the banner pick-a-punch, and she used the pointed edge. So I've cut half-inch pieces of basic white cardstock. And these are longer than I need. I only wanted them about 2 inches, but it's too hard to hold a little 2-inch piece in place. So I made them longer, and I can cut off the ends. It was more important to me that I had something to hold on to when I was punching them. Push that all the way back, because 2 inches would take me right up there, and that's just too hard to hold that in place. I wasn't sure exactly how many of these I would use, so I think I cut about 8 or so. Whoops, it's not back all the way. How many do I have? Oh, this should be plenty. I also have 2 strips that are narrower. These are a 3/8 inch by 5.5, and I wanted those to go all the way across my paper like that. So you can see this is how I'm building going to be building that picket fence. Okay. I wish I'd put my green up just a little bit higher, but we're going to work with this. So I'm going to go ahead and put these 5.5-inch strips on in the horizontal position. This is what I'm going to be building, be putting those picket fence pieces on. Like that. And then the picket fence pieces will be just like this. I think 5 will do it. I'm going to start in the center. I'm going to put my little mat here so I don't get glue over everything. I'm going to start in the center. Do you see why I wanted to use the longer strips of the basic white? I could have gone a little bit shorter, but the size I needed would have been hard to hold inside that punch. Scoot these over a little bit and straighten them up. I guess they don't have to be perfectly straight, right? Picket fence gets worn and weathered different ways. You may not want to push these all down in place too hard. I think I'm going to go ahead and slip this guy in right here. He's supposed to be behind the fence though, isn't he? I didn't think about that. There we go. I'm glad I didn't press too hard on that. Pull him up a little bit there. So if you want a donkey behind the fence, go ahead and put that there. You might want flowers. You might not want donkeys at all. It could be flowers growing behind your picket fence. Is this not a super idea, this little fence idea made with your banners pick a punch? Like I said, when I saw Avis's challenge card on our team page, I just thought it was brilliant, and I knew I would have to use it. I'm trying to decide if I should. I think I will add one to each end. It seems like the space is a little bit too big on each end. It doesn't quite fit, but I'll be able to cut it down. Let me punch one more. Oh, this would look so cute on a scrapbook page too. Whoops, glue went on the wrong side there. Just like that. And look what I'm going to do with this guy. He's going to be jumping the fence. He's going to be jumping out. And I was going to put him on pop-ups, on dimensionals, but I remembered I had these wobbles, and I thought, okay, this is too cute not to put on a wobble. I have no idea who I'll send this to, but boy, is it going to be cute. There's some cute sentiments in the stamp set as well too. Oh, I love this. I'm kind of like cracking. Oh, we could even do it something like that. Like, ooh, like that too. Okay, now look at that. All right, let me move this aside. Put my glue away. And I still have this other piece of grass to fill in there. But before I do that, I want to, and don't forget, this is going to be a pop-up card. So this is just the front. But I want to trim away all this extra Picket Fence white. My glue isn't super dry, so after this demonstration, I'm going to have to remember to go back and use a wet, a damp cloth, or even my chamois to wipe down the edges of my paper trimmer. Oh my gosh, look at how cute that is. Do you love it? Okay, before I put this on my card base, I want to see. Oh, look at this. I have to put this on. I'm going to stamp hee haw right here. So it looks like it's coming out of his mouth. And I'm going to stamp this with the Seaside Spray ink so that it kind of blends in with the sky look. I'm going to press this down and hold it in place while I'm stamping. Hee-haw. I do it up here too. Hee-haw. So you can see it's kind of subtle there, but it looks like it's coming out of his mouth. Hee-haw, hee-haw. Fun. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on the front of my card base. And then we'll make the pop-up for the inside of the card, because I've got this other cute little donkey sitting here that needs to be played with. It hardly even looks like a card, doesn't it? Oh, this needs a little more adhesive here. Cute. And I'm going to add that final piece of the grass. I think I'll cut off just a little bit of that bottom edge to show more of the bottom fence line. Looks like I need a Post-it note to hold this in place. Have you ever done this? If you've got a really narrow strip of cardstock or paper and you need to hold it in place and there's no place for your fingers to go because of the cutting card, just hold it in place with a Post-it note. Works every time. Yes, I like that much better. So I have lots of relatives that farm, both crops and animals, but I can't ever think of that any of them ever had donkeys. I'll have to ask some of them. I wonder if maybe at one time my grandpa had a donkey on his farm. We had lots of other things, pigs, cows, horses, chickens, but I don't ever recall a donkey. If you have any of those little white picket fence spots sticking out. Just trim them with your paper snips. How fun. Okay, it is adorable. Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And thanks for sharing, Susan. I want to say, I think I missed a question back here. Oh, I wish Stampin' Up! Could sell the wobbles. Yes, I buy them on Amazon. They are a little bit pricey, but I love using them. Not real often. I don't use them real often just because they are pricier than Stampin' Dimensionals, but they're just super fun. All right. Now, to make the pop-up portion of my card, I'm making an inside card base, and this measures, I have to think about this, 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. So standard card base is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. This is 4 1/4 by 8 1/4. You want to fold it in half, and then find the middle, use a ruler or something, and find the middle of the base, and then just go over maybe 1/4 inch on each side. And then I like to cut in, I'm going to cut 2 lines in, but I want them to each be about 1 inch from my folded edge. So I'm going to, so here's my center mark, and then about 1/4 inch on each side. And I'm going to cut on those marks up to that 1 inch line. Now, depending on what you are popping up, you may need to make your piece a little wider, a little narrower, a little shorter, a little longer. But generally, this is the size I make mine. And it typically works. It typically works for anything I've made. Then you want to take that piece that you just cut and push it towards the inside of that card base. Fold the opposite direction on the crease, and then you're going to kind of pull it in and push all this down so that you make 2 folds there as well. And there's the pop-up portion of your card. Now this, at this point, and I have to pay attention where my front is, this is where I like to adhere it to my standard card base. And I'm going to give you a couple of tips. I find that it works better instead of gluing it down like this, because then you can get some bulk right in the center. Or if it's off a little bit, it changes how it folds. So I prefer to put mine in the folded position. And because it's a fun fold, I do use a little more adhesive than I normally would. And I like to go right up to, so that it's butting up against that fold. Let me press it down and then I'll show you. Do you see how it's butting right up against my fold, my score line, but it's not covering it? And then to adhere the other side, I put my adhesive on and then just fold the main card front down and press it into place. And now I have this. This also makes it nice to have it sit up. You know, sometimes somebody gets a pop-up card in the mail. They like to leave it sitting open like that. If they choose that, they can do that. So now I can add this guy. And you just want to pay close attention to where you're putting your adhesive. You don't want adhesive over this whole thing if your image is not going to cover the whole thing. The other thing is, I don't like to put my image all the way down to the bottom fold. I like it to be just above that, so there's no chance of it getting crinkled in the fold. And typically I just used a few glue dots, making sure that, you know, I already checked my whole image is going to cover these up, so I know I'm good. Set my docky in place here, just like that. And now I can fold it down and watch him pop up. Cute. And I might want to add some stamping here. Maybe again I will add, let's do this, something fun right in the center. Hee-haw. I'm going to put a hee-haw up here too. And then I'm going to stamp, "It's your birthday." Oops, did I get my head in the camera? Sorry about that if I did. Hee-haw, it's your birthday. Now look at how cute that is. I love it. Love it. What do you think? Sylvia says now she can't wait to receive her donkey order. I think it's adorable too, Kathy. I'm so glad you like it. But who would have thought? Is Avis watching? I don't think I saw her name pop up here today, but I wanted to be sure and give Avis Anderson a shout out for her brilliant picket fence technique. I started thinking too, now picture this. Picture this as being a scrapbook page, and you make a taller picket fence, and then you have flowers growing on both sides of the picket fence. Oh, so I might have to work on that because I just love this picket fence idea. I get so excited. Honestly, people tell me all the time, "Mary, I learned so much from you. I get inspired by you." But please know that I learned so much from other people as well. Many of you here who are watching, and even actually Patty Schuler just sent me a really pretty dish towel with the kind where she adds fabric to the top and it folds over and you can button so it hangs on your, I have mine on my dishwasher handle, but it doesn't fall off the handle because it's got that fabric that buttons around. But she made the prettiest card with fabric. And I never even thought about adding fabric to a card. And I know that you can die cut fabric with our Stampin' Cut Emboss machine and our dies. So please know that I love being inspired and learning new ideas from others as well. But I just saw her card. In fact, I'll try to pull it up from our site and post it to my blog also with her permission when I post this video to my blog later this week. So I hope you've enjoyed making another pop-up card with me, and I hope you've enjoyed the tips I've given you for no fuss or no stress fussy cutting, as well as creating your own picket fence for your cards and other paper crafts. I wish you a very good Monday, a happy and productive week. Make it a good one. And, you know, we all have the power to make our days good days, even when we know that they might be challenging. But like I said, I wish you a good day, a happy and productive week. And I will see you Wednesday evening on my business page, Stampin' Peace with Mary Knabe. In the meantime, please share this video. Please share my social media sites with your crafty friends and family and neighbors. Have a good day. Bye-bye.